And welcome back, everybody, to episode 7 of our Texas Stars Summer with the Stars series. I'm Owen Newkirk, and today I am glad to be joined by Stars' now second year forward, or goaltender, rather, Jack Campbell. Maybe thinks every goalie thinks he's a forward. I'm surprised, though, Jack. You said that during the summer training, you're not playing on a scoring line in a men's league somewhere. You're actually focusing on the task at hand.
Yeah, it is fun to skate out and try to score some goals rather than, getting scored on, here and there. But this summer I'm trying to take it upon myself to prepare for the year appropriately and, try to skate and get better and be a goalie. So I'm enjoying it right now and just looking forward to playing some hockey this year.
What have you been up to this summer so far, and are you doing anything different this year after playing a first full season as a pro?
Yeah, so far this summer I've, been working really hard on my game and just really working on my flexibility and trying to hammer that out with yoga and just doing a lot of lifting and things like that. But most importantly, I'm just skating, like I said earlier, about, I'm just putting on the goalie pads and getting on the ice every day and trying to work on my game. So, going in, I'm going to be real confident.
Now, you guys had a very interesting season last year. It was your first full year pro. I mean, obviously you came in and played the end of the year 2 seasons ago and played a nice run of games that got you sort of a taste of pro hockey in Texas and what the Cedar Park Center was like. But how was last year's first full season experience for you? Because that obviously was a major difference from playing juniors or playing for, international tournaments with Team USA.
Yeah, it's a good question. For one, I really enjoyed my time in Texas last year and playing in front of our fans and with some great teammates and coaches. A lot of great things to build on for this year. But I definitely learned that pro hockey is a lot different and much more demanding, not just on the ice, but, how you carry yourself off of it. So I'm really happy I went through some of the things I went through last year, and it'll prepare me for this year. And just working on everything this summer. I'm feeling really confident and ready to go this season.
I would imagine that one of the most difficult things you dealt with last year was really a first for you, was not necessarily being the number one starter every game. Obviously goalies don't play all games of a season, especially in juniors or pro when you play a ton of games in your schedule. But to have to compete with an older veteran guy like Christopher Nilstrup, I know you've had faced stiff competition in juniors and playing for Team USA, but that had to be a very difficult adjustment for you, having to not necessarily be the go-to guy every single night.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a experience I've never went through, and Nielsen's a heck of a goalie. He's an NHL caliber goalie, and I was able to learn a lot from him, on the ice and probably even more so off the ice and how he carries himself. And I'm used to kind of being handed the number one job and just playing until I'm too tired or something, which, it was different this year for sure. And, I'm not going to lie, it was frustrating at times, but it's just a credit to Nielsen for playing really well and, carrying the team. So I was really happy to see him, perform well and have the team have success. But, it was a great learning experience for me and, what I need to do to be a number one goalie in pro hockey. And this year I'm going to take everything I learned from last year and apply it and just make the most of it.
Did you feel as though the experience this past year, not just playing alongside Nilstorp, but you had a run of games, particularly in the second half of the year when he was up in Dallas, and also he had an injury for a while where you were really the main guy and Tyler Beskorwany was your backup. You really grabbed the team at that point. It seemed like you were in a different place there than you were earlier in the season and really transformed your game a little bit. Did you feel more comfortable at that point?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't make excuses or explanations. I just have standards for my game. But, I do love to, be in the net every single game, and I just love to compete. So when I was finally, handed the opportunity to I guess I shouldn't even say handed, earned the opportunity to play, all those games when Nielsen was up or out of the lineup. It was kind of like I felt like it was my time to help the team and show them what I could do. And they did a great job helping me as well. And, it was an exciting time. And it just kind of, showed me that, I could play at that level and still perform at a elite level even as a rookie. And, it was a great time of the year for me. It was probably my highest point when we went on that 6-game win streak and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it just gives me more motivation this summer to train hard and be ready to go on the ice. So next year I can play a lot of games.
How difficult is it when you have to work side by side with somebody like Christopher Nilstorp or Baskarwani or even Josh Robinson when he was here at times last year? You have to get along because you're working together every day. You're trying to support each other when they're playing, but you also want to be the guy. And unlike a skater where they can have 18 players on the ice and on the bench changing and playing constantly, a goalie, there's only spot for one, and it's a very much more selective position during a game and during the season. Is it a challenging relationship to be really good friends, but also realize that both of you can't play every game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hockey is unique because it's a team sport, so the ultimate goal is to win. So that's the only thing that matters is winning. So you always have to be a good teammate, but at the same time, it escalates when you're a goalie because not only are you on a team, but you're also competing with a guy that where you might not play. So it's your responsibility to be ready to play when it is your time, whether you're the starter or you're the backup. And Chris and I had a great relationship, and I'm not just saying that. Like he really was a great friend of mine, away from the rink and at the rink. And I think the reason why we were such close friends is because we both, were so hungry to be in the net, and we both expected to be in the net, which made us respect each other a lot more and push each other harder. So that's just kind of it comes with the territory of being a goalie, especially at this level, where, you're responsible for, working hard and doing what you have to do. And that's exactly what we did. And I thought we both had good years and definitely have a lot to build on for next year.
Interesting things that have played out over the last few weeks is that Dallas re-signed Christopher Nilstorp to a one-year deal. They also brought in veteran Dan Ellis for a one-year contract. So you two, Ellis and Lettinen, are the top four in no particular order, other than I think everybody probably agrees that Kari Lettinen is the number one. What's your impressions of the Dallas/Texas Stars goalie depth in the top two levels of the system? It seems pretty strong to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really excited about it. It's a great challenge for myself to compete with those guys. I mean, obviously there's Kari, who's a world-class goalie at the NHL level, and Dan Ellis, an NHL vet, really good goalie. We played him a couple times last year, and Nielsy's back, and he's I know he'll be ready to go next year. So real good depth this year, with Dallas's goalies, within the system, and I'm just real confident in my game right now. So I'm not, reading into anything. I don't really care where I play next year. I just want to play hockey and do everything I can to help whatever team I'm playing for win games.
It's kind of a mixed bag, isn't it? Because as a competitive guy in pro hockey, and let's face it, you're about as competitive as they come. The stories from how intense you get in practice is admirable and unique as well. But at the same time, everybody says goalies take longer to mature, and at your very young age still, there's a long way in your career. I mean, you can also play usually longer than a skater can because you don't take quite the same physical punishment. It's kind of different kind of punishment, but how hard is it to be both patient and also eager at the same time?
That's a great question, and for me, it's something I've had to work on more than anything on the ice related. It's just, it's just maturity and growing up. And when I got drafted, I, was obviously very confident and thought I, could just jump right into pro hockey and, go off right where I left off from the USA program. But it doesn't work like that, and you have to be patient, like you said, and put your time in, you work hard, learn a lot, and when your time's ready to come, you have to make the most of the opportunity. So I'm done, with the whole rushing to get anywhere. I'm just really excited to play hockey, and I can honestly say for the first time in a while, I have a clear head and just want to go out there and compete and just stop as many pucks as I can. And with that mindset, I can already tell a big difference in the summer I've had. And I'm not really in a rush anymore to get up to the NHL. The NHL is an amazing league, but I just have fun competing in the American League. And you know what? I have a lot of work to do to get there, and I'm just excited to play hockey and get better and win hockey games.
Well, you got your first taste of the NHL last year. We talked about that great run you had in February and March. Late March, they call you up to Dallas, and you got to go for a 2-game backup stint in Colorado and then Los Angeles on March 20th and 21st. There was a lot of talk going into that 2-game back-to-back series that you might get one of those games because of how condensed the schedule was after the lockout and how much energy Kari Lehtinen had gone through. Of course, he was coming off an injury a few weeks before. But what was that experience like for you? It was your first taste of suiting up for a real NHL game. That had to have been just an absolute thrill for you.
Yeah, I'm very blessed and feel very fortunate that Dallas gave me that opportunity, just from my own experience. And it's great motivation, to get up there. But at the same time, I'm trying to take a step back. And going up last year, I kind of got a little too excited because it really is amazing being up there with those guys. And I just love competing and practice against them, and seeing the way they train and work and compete on the ice. So I felt at home up there, but I have a long way to go until I'm ready to stay up there. So it was a great time, and I'm very fortunate for the opportunity. But I'm just excited to play hockey, with the guys in Austin this year and see what happens.
I would imagine that there aren't any NHL cities that you can travel to that you would be disappointed to go to because they're all a lot of fun. But to go to Los Angeles and play on a weekend, it's hard to top something like that to play at Staples Center. Now, the interesting thing that people may not realize is that wasn't the first time you've ever been to Staples Center in person. In fact, one of the more important days of your young hockey career came back on June 25th, 2010, when you were drafted in the first round at Staples Center. It had to be kind of a neat place to go back and play your second game as a backup in the place where you got selected by Dallas a few years ago.
Yeah, I got the chills walking into the rink because of how amazing of a day that was on June 25th a couple years ago, and it was just an amazing venue and a lot of history there, not just with hockey, but the NBA and things like that. So, it was a pretty special time to go out there and take warm-ups. Jonathan Quick on the other end and Kari and Arnett. Like it was pretty cool, and it's definitely a great atmosphere in there. So it was fun to see the game and to be on the bench for it. It was awesome. So definitely got my attention of how great of a hockey city LA is, and how well the fans are doing to support them.
You probably know all these stats, but I'm going to read them off for everybody listening. You were the first pick for the Dallas Stars that year in 2010. You were the 11th overall selection in the draft, the first American and the first goalie taken in the draft. And not to mention the fact that you were the first of 11 American-born players to be drafted in the first round, which everybody seems to think is an unofficial record for most U.S.-born players in a first-round draft. That had to be to lead that kind of a draft class for your country, because you've had lots of experience playing for Team USA, but also for yourself. Had to be a pretty exciting moment to be the first goalie called on the board when you were amongst some pretty talented young goalie prospects.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a strong, class, not just for Americans, but for goalies. And, I'm honored that Dallas selected me, as high as they did. And to be the first goalie picked, it was my goal to start the season. So, that was one of the goals I accomplished. And it was a special day, but, I'm trying to move on from there and, show everybody why they picked me 11th overall. And, I have all the confidence in the world. I'll, show everybody that. And, it was a special day, and hopefully there's a lot more special days to come in that Dallas jersey.
Kind of an interesting little coincidence, perhaps, is that 9 picks before you, the Boston Bruins selected Tyler Seguin in the second overall pick that year. And now, if you look a couple years possibly down the road, you guys could be teammates with the Dallas Stars. That'd be kind of interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. He's a very obviously talented player and, elite class NHL player. So it's cool how, he was the second pick in our draft and, one of the best players in the world for our age. So it's nice, that Dallas picked him up, and maybe one day I'll be able to play with him, and it'd be really cool. And, I'm really excited about that. I think it's great that, we got him and Peverly, and I think that's a great trade. So really excited about hopefully meeting him one day and, being on the ice with him.
Now, you have extensive, I keep saying extensive experience playing with the USA for a lot of junior tournaments you played and won gold medals at 3 different World Juniors, 2 U18s, and then, of course, many people know your exploits during the 2010 World Juniors. This is pre-draft. So you had a pretty exciting lead up to 2010. You won the U18 and the U20 gold medals that year, and then got drafted first round 11th overall. That was a heck of a year for you.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a whirlwind. I had a little bit of issues in junior hockey because, the fact that I accomplished as much as I did before the draft, and even the draft was an accomplishment in itself. It was I'm not going to lie, it was hard to, to filter it all and keep, a level head. And I always worked hard, but it was a lot to deal with, just a lot of pressure I put on myself. So I'm finally, captivating it all and just trying to take a step back and get back to that world championship level. And, I love to win, and it's no coincidence why I won 3 world championships. I had great teammates and stuff, but I love to win, and that's what I want to bring to the Dallas organization and, the Texas Stars next year.
Well, before we look too much into the future, I've got to ask you, where are those gold medals right now?
Actually, it's funny. My mom won't let me touch them. She put them away in like a safe just because she wants to make sure I have them, when I'm older. So I haven't seen them since, Minsk, my last one, my draft year. So she has them all safely kept, and I have all my jerseys, and I actually kept all my world championship goalie pads too. So it's going to be neat one day when I have a house and I can kind of put it all in the basement in the man cave. It'll be pretty cool.
You'll have some good decorations already waiting for you, won't you?
Oh, absolutely. You got it.
Now, you talk about getting back to that level. Do you have a goal or maybe an ambition down the road to play again for Team USA and one of the senior teams, either maybe in the Olympics or World Championships someday?
Oh, absolutely. I was fortunate to play in the World Championships 2 years ago. I didn't actually play, but it was fun to be a part of the team, and I got to back up when Yager scored 3 goals against us in the quarterfinals. So, it was neat to play at the men's, the men's stage, and to be able to see all that. But I definitely want to make Dallas and be an NHL goaltender, and then hopefully have the opportunity to play in some World Championships in the Olympics, and definitely some long-term goals for me, and a lot of work to do, and I'm really excited. There's a lot brewing in the future, and I'm just trying to work and get there.
Now, you actually, we talked about Dan Ellis earlier. You played him head-to-head in your first start last year. It was the home opener on October 14th at Cedar Park Center, and I'm sure you remember it because it was a 9-round shootout that the Stars eventually won in a thrilling game. If you remember, Cody Eakin scored a shorthanded goal late in the third period just to tie the game, and then you went on to do that. Kind of a little interesting. The first time you guys will get a chance to talk as members of the Dallas Stars organization, you have some history from last year's AHL season.
Yeah, that's what I first thought about when he got traded there. And also I remember I got drafted by Dallas in 2010, so that preseason after I was drafted, the first ever game I ever watched Dallas play was against Tampa Bay, and he was in the exhibition game. So I, have a very, little bit of history with him, and I was able to watch him quite a bit. So, it's exciting that he's here and I can pick his brain and be able to talk to him. So that first win last year was pretty exciting, and just fortunate we came out on top because he played a heck of a game.
It wasn't the only time you went long shootout rounds. In fact, it was sort of a feature of the Stars. Phenomenal goaltending, maybe wishing that they scored a few more shootout goals, but ultimately you and Christopher Nilstorff both saw about 45 or 50 shootout attempts during the course of the season. What are those mega shootouts like for you?
Oh, they're so much fun. Yeah, Chris did a great job, too, in the shootouts, and Willie did a good job in practice to allow us to work on it. So, definitely a lot of preparation goes into it, but it's just about competing, and like I've said many times, Neilsy loves to compete just like I do. So, those long shootouts are a lot of fun, and it's what you play for, You play for that, shootout winning stop, and you always think about it. So it was a lot of fun. We got a lot of practice, so hopefully this year it'll pay off.
Now, I've heard lots of goalies that have both opinions on it. Some who really like the shootout, some who find that the pressure's nerve-wracking and they just as soon not do it. Boy, you really seem to enjoy not only doing it, but in practice, you are about as vocal as they come when it comes to the head-to-head with your teammates, and they seem to give it right back to you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about competing and having good chemistry with the guys. So, I mean, sometimes that chemistry is chirping and stuff, but it's awesome, and it's kind of what we all play for. So, I mean, it's great to go out there and work on it with the guys and try to help them out as much as they're helping me out. So, it's just fun, shoot out like one-on-one. It's, you versus somebody else. So there's no, it's pretty black and white. You either win or you lose. So it's, it's something I like to do, and I know the guys like to do it. So, yeah, it's just something that I, love to do, and it's part of the game.
One of the things that you've brought to the table from an early age is your ability to stick handle as a goaltender, and that's becoming more and more prevalent in the game. Goalies can't get away with just sort of staying in their creases, and obviously Christopher Nilstorp discovered that because his team in Sweden asked him to stay in the net and leave it alone. Totally different style here in North America, and you could see his progression throughout the year. But from your side of things, obviously it's a big part of your distribution to be able to puck handle and move it, but would you do you ever look at that empty net every now and then if you get one and think about trying to take a shot?
I actually tried once last year. I mean, it's kind of a selfish play, like in my opinion. I like to more look for the boys up on the wall, but I mean, it's fun. You see Marty Brodeur, scoring some goals and Hextall back in the day. So it's fun to try it, but it's got to be a 2-goal lead for sure. And I've just always loved to play the puck, and my biggest thing is just being involved in the game. So kind of keeps me focused and in the zone, I guess, if you will. And I don't know, something I've always worked on, but more importantly, something I've always enjoyed. And I think it's perk just to help the team. That's why I do it.
It'd probably be a spur of the moment kind of decision, but do you have any idea what kind of celebration you would do if you ever scored a goal in a game?
Probably brush the ice and jump into the glass. I thought about that one a few times.
A lot of your teammates at juniors, especially at the World Junior Championships, really like to do that celebration, didn't they?
Oh, boy, I think that one gets a little overused these days, but I figured because I'm a goalie, I can get away with it.
You could probably do anything and get away with it as a goalie. Now, I have to ask
Exactly.
you turned 21 back in January. Obviously, you're very young as far as goalies go, but we had the team had a little bit of fun with you and Travis Morin that day, and I'm sure you remember that. They had a little bit of a prank during practice, and you had a lot more of a smile on your face and an easy demeanor about it than your elderly statesman teammate Travis Morin. He didn't seem to be too pleased with the old pie in the face, did he?
Oh, boy, it's the first time I've ever been actually pranked, so I was just more impressed than upset. Like, you guys definitely did a good job, saying we had an interview for USA, so good job. Hats off to you guys.
It's something that happens periodically throughout the year, and we all know that last year's captain, Max Fortunas, who we don't know whether or not he'll be back or not yet, but he was in the middle of a lot of that. Did you have a particular prank that you really enjoyed other than getting a pie in your own face?
Oh, well, I actually had a long year thanks to Maxie because I always seemed to be right next to him when we were on the road in the hotel room. So I always had the joining doors with his room, and he always somehow found a way to get my key and take all of our, towels and toilet paper and bedding and my clothes and hide it in his room and say it wasn't him, and it seemed to work every time. So he's kind of the captain of that kind of stuff, and definitely got my notepad out because he's the king of the prank.
That makes you kind of paranoid though when as a rookie you get the little extra attention from the veterans, don't you?
Oh, absolutely, especially me because they all think I'm the goofiest one ever, so they have so much fun giving it to me. Well, I'm kind of the main target, I guess, if you will.
I'll give you two of my favorites last year, and I want your opinions on both. One was we were in Grand Rapids, and I believe it was about a 50-minute practice that Mike Hedden had a fully inflated piece of bubble gum sticking on his helmet, and he went through drill after drill, and the guys were howling the whole time. And that one was one of my top ones. The other one was when Austin Smith found all his gear taped to the light posts and his sticks to a fire hydrant outside Cedar Park Center. What do you think of those two pranks?
Oh man, I actually didn't even hear about the Austin Smith one. That was pretty awesome. But the Mike Hedden one, I remember perfectly looking at you and just dying for like at least 20 minutes, even when I was in net taking shots. And yeah, that one was well executed, and it couldn't have happened to a better target in Mike Hedden. So that's awesome.
The irony of it was that was the day that we were doing filming for the mini Jack bobblehead videos, and you actually took the little mini Jack around and did some stuff when you guys went to dinner. But it was that same day we were trying to get footage as he was floating around. He kind of upstaged mini Jack that day.
Oh, absolutely. Mini Jack kind of likes to, be low key. So I was glad something kind of, was able to be more of a interesting thing over that. So it was a fun day, filled with a lot of events. So it was definitely one of the better road trips.
I know that you don't have a ton of experience being a pro. I mean, his first full season last year, but do you get a sense that this team has a lot of cohesion, both on and off the ice, seems to get along really well, and there's a real core group of guys already ticketed to come back to Texas for this coming season?
Yeah, I think that's why we did so well last year. And, with that being said, obviously Willie and Scott White had a lot to do with that. But, I mean, just our team, we really gelled. And, being on a couple World Championship teams, I know what it takes to win. And having chemistry is 100% essential to winning, and you have to have it. So it's just really, really exciting for our organization, especially Dallas, to know that we're going to win a lot of hockey games just solely based on our team chemistry. So I've been in touch with all the guys this year, or some of the guys, I should say, and really excited about getting back together and, most importantly, winning some more.
Of all the things that rookies are subjected to, having to make sure that the bus is picked up with garbage after a road trip, having to help unload the gear when the vet sometimes won't, just being subjected to all the pranks, what's the one thing about not being a rookie anymore that you're really looking forward to not having to deal with anymore?
Probably yelling at Nemmer for not picking up the bus. No, I'm just kidding. But, I'd say, yeah, picking up the bus is kind of brutal. Like we all want to get home after a long road trip, so it does kind of stink, sitting there. But at the same time, that was the first time I've ever actually really been a rookie. So, it's kind of fun to experience different things, and the vets have fun with the whole rookie thing, the rookie party and stuff. So I mean, it's a good time, and it's something we all go through, and it's just part of the game.
Any plans to we'll have new rookies this year? I'm not sure exactly who or how many. Are you already scheming about some of the things that you're going to do to help initiate your new rookie class?
Man, I'm just focused on myself and trying to get myself more mature right now. But yeah, I'm sure I'll come up with some stuff. I mean, they were pretty good last year, so I definitely had my notepad out with my pen. So I have a few things up my sleeve.
I imagine you do. Well, Jack, it's great to have you on. I really appreciate it. I hear you're going to spend some time out on the boat today, a little get of sunshine.
Absolutely. I learned how to get a tan in Texas, so I'm trying to keep it going a little bit here in the off season back in Windsor. So, haven't had a good workout, but now it's Friday and I'm all done. So it's nice to go spend it out on the water.
Well, thanks so much for your time. It was hilarious and entertaining. We really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you when training camp starts in Dallas in a couple of months. Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Owen. I'll see you soon.
Jack Campbell joining us here for Episode 7 of Summer with the Stars, and we will be back next week with another interview. Thanks for joining. So long, everyone.